are you? Welcome. Thank you for taking time out of your very busy schedules to join us. I hope everyone's having a great summer. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I just have a couple things on the agenda for this morning, and then I'm going to turn it over to you guys. I want to start out with some questions that we've gotten recently in the ticketing system. Just want to let everyone know that most of the case demographics can be changed on the basic information page or the basic information tab or the case homepage. There is a video on the blog that instructs how to edit case weights and levels and home visitors, just to mention a few. I will post the link to this video in the chat for anybody who would like to view it, or you can go to the blog at your convenience and view it then. The TCID form. When the TCID form is entered, the level changes automatically to level 1. So for cases that are on CO or TR, you can go into the basic information tab and edit the level from the level 1 to the CO or the TR. Our understanding is that if you enter the TCID form that you've seen the family, then it would be, taken off that level, right, Chris? Isn't that?
That's correct, Corey.
And the last thing that I have is just to address the login issues that we've had lately. Most of us are working remotely and in the office, which means that we're oftentimes working on multiple devices. Changing your password on one device will not automatically save it to all devices. So when you change your password on your laptop, for example, you'll have to manually type the new password in when using your desktop or your phone or your tablet. If you're having trouble logging in, first check to see that your cap lock and your number locks are not on. And FYI, it's best to close out the browser after two failed attempts, and then open a new browser and then change your password so as not to lock your account. By the way, if your account gets locked, you can ask your supervisor to unlock it on the worker form, or you can send us a ticket and we'll take care of it. So that's all I have. Does anybody have any things that they'd like to discuss or any questions? I guess we're doing a good job, guys. No questions, huh?
I have a couple of questions.
Okay. Thanks,
So I am currently in the process of doing the annual evaluation for one of our family support specialists. And on our evaluation form that's specific to my host agency, it asks how many ASQs were completed, how many were in window, how many were out of window. And then I went to the ASQ reports and they looked different to me. I haven't done an FSS evaluation in quite some time, but I have a supervisor who's out, so I'm doing them. Can you explain a little bit about what the start date means for the ASQ report and what information would be included when I run that? And I apologize if this was already explained, but I can't quite remember.
I'm just logging onto the MIS.
Yeah, we're just gonna look into that real quick.
Okay.
There are a few different ASQ reports.
I started with the ASQ screening report.
And did you look at the documentation, the report documentation that's available for that report?
I did not.
So for the developmental screening details report, according to the report documentation, the start date is the date used to determine which target children are included and which years of the children's lives are included in the report. So my understanding is that this is based on the target child's date of birth, you guys. So the start date is 1/1/23. Any children born on or after that date would be included.
Not quite. If you go up a little bit, the cohort it's basically determining the cohort. So as of that date, that point in time, you're pulling in target children who are over 12 months old as of that date, where the target child identification and birth outcomes has been entered, and the case is either not discharged or was discharged on or after that date. And so when it says determining the years of the child's lives to be included in the report, it excludes years that are after that. So for example, if you ran it for today, 8/15/23, and a child was born on 1/1/23, child's not 12 months, wouldn't be included. If the child is born 1/1/22, only the first year of the child's life will be included because there hasn't been 2 full years of that child's life by 8/15. So essentially, it is including years of children's lives that are fully complete as of that date.
And can I add something to that? And that is, Nora, because according to the policy, we need to look for 2 completed in the past year. So if a whole year hasn't gone by, then we can't be asking for that.
So Corey, can I share my screen for a second? Because this brings up a really good point.
Of course.
Sure. So if everyone can look at this, what Corey was asking earlier was this little, looks like a little piece of paper with a corner cut over. This is our documentation. So as you can tell from what the explanation of that cohort just was, it's quite complicated. So it's always good to take a look at this documentation here to find out what's supposed to be in it. Not every single report has documentation. You can see this one's missing some. We're trying to work on all of them, but most of them should have documentation. So definitely take a look at those, and you should hopefully get an answer to your question. If you don't get an answer to your question from the documentation, that actually helps us. We can actually modify the documentation so it makes it easier to understand for people in the future.
Yeah. And going back to Nora, your question, because you're using or you're trying to look at this report to see what the home visitor has done or how many they've done, I'm wondering if we could find that information some other place, because basically in the past year the FSS might have done one, but it's not showing on the report because 12 months haven't gone by. So I'm thinking of other ways. Is there any other way that we could find have a count of how many those were completed, or is this like kind of, I'm asking you guys if you remember of any other place where we could find like a count of ASQs completed, like the home visit summary, or like, I'm not too sure.
Or maybe someone else in the crowd who does the FSS assessments or annual reviews can help us out and let us know what you use to gather that information.
I think too, this is something that obviously was part of our, like I said, host agency's evaluation of an FSS, but we've done so many changes and updates to MIS, it might just be something that has to be updated on our end to reflect the changes in how we're reporting information. So if at the end of the day I have to change it, then that's something I'll do too.
Thanks, Nora. We're following the BPSs in all of the way that we do that. Yeah. I was thinking about the history report, Joe, but that has been retired, right?
It's still there.
Still there. You could.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not been retired.
Okay.
And actually, that's a good report to use because you can run it for the whole program or a specific FSS. So Nora, that might be a good source for you. Thank you so much, Joe. Any other questions? Nora, I thought you said you had a couple questions, or did that cover it?
I do. So we have two families that are sort of lingering on TR. They're approaching their max amount of time on TR. Am I correct in that they have to be restored to their original level before we are able to move to CO? It seems like they're going CO, like they're going through that process, but it's a little tricky. And I looked at the policies and I'm kind of like a little overwhelmed by them. So I just wanted to confirm that that is what the expectation is.
I don't think you can move a family from TR straight to CO. So you might have to. But also, like you must know why you have your families on TR and getting to the limit and then on CO. Are you like thinking that this family is going to be brought back in?
I don't think they are. So they went TR when a worker of ours was on maternity leave and they refused to change in FSS. And wanted to just have check-ins until their worker returned, and then their worker returned and they have yet to re-engage.
Yeah.
So I know that's like a very nuanced situation, but I was like, they have to go back to their original level. And then from there, we have to do the attempts and sort of like what we would do to visit them at their regular level until 30 days have passed to then put them on CO. But I just wanted to confirm that MIS wouldn't flag anything like, hey,
You can use, we have the new report that lists all the time on TR, TO, and CO. The BPSs now say that you have to, like these, you could close a family if 92 days went by and, in the last 6 months kind of thing. So I would look at that policy again, Nora. I know it's overwhelming, but you don't want to keep a family that you can't be contacting or that they're most likely not coming back.
Yeah, and Nora, you might want to
taking out.
I'm sorry, Kareem.
No, because it's taking out of maybe engaging some other family who does or is interested in the services.
And Nora, you may want to talk to your contract manager about this too, because it's really a policy that you're asking about. So, this is like an MIS meeting. I'm sorry.
Sure, will do. Thank you.
I thought, Melissa, did you have your hand up? No? Okay, sorry. Any other questions about anything? Any feedback? Anything you want to talk about? That's what we're here for.
Can we talk about training logs? Our program is really struggling with that, with the new training records. And we're struggling with new hires and them completing what they're supposed to be completing, but then they have supplemental training that they're taking and there's no way to input that safely because there's no subtopics anymore. So let's say that they had a random training on marijuana that wasn't part of their onboarding training. It's going to input that as like the whole topic was taken and it's going to mess it up. So we're finding that that's a struggle. So we're like holding on to all of these training records and not inputting them if they're not.
We had this discussion actually already. Kareem, there is an answer for that. I keep forgetting the details. Is it to hold on to all of them and then do them at one time, or?
The thing is this, now we're not doing, if you follow the HFNY checklist, it's asking you to take all those subtopics, and once you're done with the whole subtopic, enter the completion date. And that is, you don't need to put in the subtopics. HFA is no longer looking at subtopics. And so that's why we decided to move on the policy. If you look at your policy, it says that on 10 and 11, we're not focusing. You do need to enter the day that you completed all the different subtopics within, in the training that is indicated on that link. Carrie, do you have the checklist with you? Yes. And you do click on the links and have them complete all the subtopics within whatever HFA has there as their training for 3, 6, or 12. Then any additional ones you can enter them if they're not part of that training that you have there on the link. You could enter it as an additional training. You can still use the MIS to put any other trainings, but the ones that are within the subtopics of that 3, 6, or 12 month, you should enter once it's all completed.
Right. Okay.
Using that date.
My understanding too is that, the trainings are based on the best practice standards and the HFA requirements. So when we ask you to enter the trainings, they are to satisfy their reporting requirements that have been put in place by Healthy Families America. So the other trainings, and I think I talked to Janina about this from Broome. So the other trainings, as Corinne said, you can enter them as other trainings, but the understanding is that the BPS trainings will be entered, as Corinne said, when everything has been completed.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question. This is Marisol. I have a question similar to Nora, but in terms of TO, right? So I experienced the experience of a family being on TO because they're on vacation, but then they decided to stay and they're not coming back, right? So and then it's like we can't switch them straight into CO, but the family already refused services when you spoke to them. Can they be closed, or do I still have to?
No, if every time the family refuses, that's a very legal reason to close a family if the family refuses. That is one of the options that you have.
Okay. And now I have another question because I experienced this as well. A family was on TR because they belonged to another worker. Then they were transferred over to one of my staff, right? I guess there was no interaction with the family, so no one knew that she had given birth already on, let's say, 5/28. That's actually exactly the date. And then she was transferred over to my staff on July 5th, right? And so when we input the information of the TC, right, I could see that it automatically switches over and it'll put it as is in level 1, starting 5/28. Right? But my staff didn't get the family until July 5th. Would that affect the report? When it's happening, it's going to affect it. Would it affect their report, like my staff report, being that they didn't get it until July 5th? Yeah. Because that was my concern. I was trying to get it, and I was trying to input, the TR back again, because MIS, it prompts you to delete the other levels in order to put the TC outcome, like the TC information in, and then put it back afterwards. So when I try to put it back, it didn't let me put back the TR because it automatically went to level 1. So what happens in terms of report wise with that staff? Are they dinged for it?
So it should, in cases like this, we have run into this in the past, where essentially because of the way that the TCID form, the identification and birth outcomes form, works and how the level system works in the MIS, it's kind of required to have that level 1 record go in so that the future levels work properly. In situations where like this, where they were on TO or TR or even CO during the time when the child was born, we have usually asked people to go into the level record, write in a new level record for 1 day after the target child's date of birth with the correct level. So in this case, they were on TO.
They were on TR. The worker wasn't available.
Yep. So they were on TR. So you'll see TR with that original TR start date. You'll see level 1 with the DOB. Put in a TR record with 1 day after the DOB. And that's basically an indicator to the system that, okay, they were actually on TR this whole time, even though we do have that level 1 record in there so that the future levels work. The only reason you might not be seeing TR when you go to enter a new level record is if you are clicking the edit button rather than the new level record button. So you might want to try that.
Okay, so then for the month of June, right, are they affected? Like, would the staff be affected for the month of June? No?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right, perfect.
Because they're only on for a single day, it's not going to affect your home visit rate. It's not going to affect anything else. All the CO, TO reports will take that information into account. So it should not have any negative effect.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for that clarification.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Alrighty, so just so everyone knows, our next Healthy Families discussion meeting is Tuesday, September 26th at 10:30 a.m. I'll be sending an invite with the Zoom information, and all this information will be posted on the blog. And again, this session has been recorded, and all the information that we talked about will be posted on the blog sometime tomorrow. Okay, thank you everybody for.
There's a chat message from Joe asking about the training BPS.
Okay, so is the training BPS still being worked on? Because
it seems working. So we're not working on it right now. What's the issue? 3 of my staff are still rating as 1 for family goal training. Well, please put in a ticket and we can take a look at it and tell you why they're showing up as a 1 for that.
Would you like me to resubmit what I submitted the first time?
I'm sorry, what's the question?
Would you like me to resubmit the documentation and that I did the first time?
First time.
you mean in the question?
I was told that it was being worked on, and then it got published, and it's still the same issue. So do you want me to submit the same stuff that I did in the first ticket so you can relate it back to that?
We can reopen it, Joe. You don't have to resubmit a ticket.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, sorry about that. Right, as I said, this is recorded and it will be on the blog, and the next meeting, I'll be sending an invite out. Thank you, everybody, for taking your time to join us today, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, bye.
Thank you.